Hi, I'm Crystal. Today I made up a couple of examples of the Sizzix Holtz Curio box. This die has been out for a couple of years, and so I picked it up heavily discounted at one of the year-end sales. And it comes with a steel ruled die that makes the box, as well as some framelits to make some decorative cuts in the box. Or, of course, you could use the framelits independently. So I measured the die to give you the exact measurements if you're interested. And those framelits you could use to make a frame for a shaker because you've got a larger and smaller of each shape, plus a banner. Now these boxes, once I made them up, I can see some pluses and minuses to this die. I felt like the top was a little bit bigger than the bottom, and so the boxes are really surprisingly loose. And if you use this cut that they show in the sample, there's really not much to work with there, and the boxes are very, very small. They're roughly 3 inches by 4 inches, the finished size, and so it'll fit a gift card or maybe a small piece of jewelry or a single fishing lure, but you're not going to put a lot in this box. They're very tiny. Of course, the limitation is the size of the die cutting plate, but I guess the looseness of the top compared to the bottom just really struck me. So I think I may try cutting this again and just cutting 2 tops. The other thing that I really noticed about this die is that there are no flaps on the bottom piece. You get flaps to assemble the top, but you get no flaps on the bottom. I do like the thinlet cutting the shape in the top of the box, but I think you could do that with any thin steel die. With a paper box that you cut out from a template rather than using a die. But I'm a sucker for anything Tim Holtz. What can I say? So I did enjoy making up the boxes, and I think I'll get some use out of this die, but I don't know that it's for everybody because, like I said, you can cut a box in any size with a ruler and a pair of scissors. But next I'm going to show how to put this together. So if you're interested, you can stick around and see how to use the die to build a box. So the very first step, of course, is to pick out some paper. You do need some paper that's about 6 inches wide, and you need about 14 inches of length. Now they recommend that you use the extended cutting plate. That is unnecessary. You can absolutely do this with a standard cutting plate. So if you will put the die on face up, put your paper so that you make sure that you've covered what you want to cut out, and then put your second plate over that spot. You just need to run it through twice, flipping the die around so that you get both halves of the box. If you have extended cutting plates, I do, I just didn't get up to get them, but standard cutting plate is perfectly fine. So you can see that bottom has no tabs. So I'm going to take the top piece and put the thin steel die on to make my cutout. And then I'm going to use the edge of my table to fold along the score lines that have been impressed into the paper by the die. And I just find that a little bit easier than trying to do it freehand or use a scoreboard. The score lines are straight, the edge of the table is straight, so very easy. Now, I don't know that this step is really required, but I have got half a box of transparencies that I got the last time my office moved in 2009. So I'm rich in transparency film, so I just use some double-sided tape to stick a little scrap of transparency film inside the top of the box to cover that opening that I cut out, because why not? It seems a little fancy. And once I've got the transparency actually trimmed down to the correct size, to fit inside the box top, that was very easy to do. Now I'm next going to use some double-sided tape on each of the 4 flaps. You really don't need much more adhesive than that to hold that top together. Even though I'm using some pretty heavyweight cardstock to build the box, just this 1/8 inch tear tape was plenty to hold the top together. So once I've got the tape in place and I remove that protective film over the top of the tape, I'm just going to make sure that everything is folded so that it is square, because the box is not going to get more square once you adhere everything. But once everything is square, I will just press those tabs on the inside, and that's literally all it takes to build this box top. So making sure everything's scored real well, and then just pushing that corner together, and then just pressing that double-sided tape in place. I did watch the official Sizzix video, and they show hot glue. Hot glue would certainly work. You just need something high grab. I always burn myself on hot glue though. Now the box bottom, as I said, has no flaps. I don't know what they were thinking. There's room on the die for flaps, but there you are. So I just used a little bit of transparent tape around the edge of this corner to hold the corner in place. You could use decorative washi tape. You could put the tape on the inside of the box if you didn't want it to show, but of course it's going to be covered by the top, so Scotch tape works just fine. And that's literally all there is to assembling the die, and there's the finished box. Thanks for joining me today.